Fam, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the continuation of the Korn journey. Listen, the next song that has been highly recommended from Korn is Falling Away From Me. So that's what we're going to be getting into. And this is from the subsequent album after Follow the Leader, which was a giant hit. So look, Jonathan Davis, during this time period, they've pioneered something relatively novel on the metal stage where they're kind of incorporating hip hop drums and, extremely emotional music, which hip hop wasn't known for, nor was metal, right? Yet they take two genres which aren't necessarily known for, outward vulnerability. And look, Jonathan Davis is, I'm doing a little bit of research here, like he's breaking down on stage mid-performance and, physically acting out physical pain. And so this is a very strange show, very strange kind of setup. Family, without any further ado, let's get right into it and see exactly what they're talking about. Let's let these guys cook. Cook, please. I remember this from Freak on a Leash. You hear those 808s? You know what I'm saying? They're bringing in boom. Yeah. Cooked. Bro, before we get into this hook, I was doing some research into the Follow the Leader album, and during this time, a lot of the band members were really addicted to drugs, and they were kind of having this, like an open house policy where people were randomly going in and out as they're recording this album. The label is like telling them to calm things down, not make the music so dark, right? And yet Korn already kind of had a fan following that the label was like desperate to kind of hone in on. So it's like, okay, we got to let them do their thing, let them have artistic freedom. And it seems like with this one, they're going down the exact same path, right? No punches pulled, no corners cut on the expression of the real. Go back a couple bars, let these guys cook. I need to hear that again. Fam, hear me out, because we're already demonetized. Are we immediately demonetized when it comes to Korn? Listen, he says, you flirt with suicide. Sometimes that's okay. I have a friend in my life who lives a very dark life and constantly not only contemplates suicide, but attempts suicide. And this occurs with this person so regularly and for so many years. It's like, going to prison and attempting suicide in prison and failing and then getting out and then, getting addicted to drugs and being forced by the courts to go into therapy and then leaving therapy and then going to prison and, attempting suicide. And it's something that friends of this person, including myself, it's like, we're not always dreary and macabre around this person. It's not always like, oh, you need to seek help. And it's like, no, this is the way this person is living their lives. And it's like, of course, you tell these people to seek help. You try your best, but you just know that, certain people, they just kind of have a trajectory in life. I mean, you've done all the therapies and you've done all of the, and, certain people's traumas are a bit more than they can bear. Let's hear them out. Guys, Jonathan Davis has the scariest voice uh, that I've heard in a long time. Who is it who sings the song? I gotta look it up now. Um, uh, Alice in Chains. The lead singer of Alice in Chains has a very disturbing voice. It's beautiful, but there's pain in it. There's lots of pain in his voice, and shout out to him, rest in peace. And I hear something very similar in Jonathan Davis. His voice is just like it's I don't want to say it's a Marilyn Manson element, but it's a very subtle aggression, a ton of pain in there. But when he says screaming some sound in the chorus, screaming some sound, a lot of people say, I'm screaming help, I'm screaming stop. But it's like when you feel completely hopeless, it's just some sound, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It's just, and that's more of an expression of feeling like I don't matter, right? Screaming some sound.
Is here fading. That's when I'm insane. I fled with suicide. Sometimes kill the pain. I can always say it's gonna be better tomorrow. Falling away from me. Falling away from me. Beating me down. Beating me down. Down into the ground. Screaming so sound. Beating me down. Down into the ground.
So he says, I can always say it's going to be better tomorrow. Then he says, falling away from me, falling away from me. And I was wondering what it is that's falling away. Is it hope? Because when he says it's going to be better tomorrow, right? That's hope. But then he says, falling away from me. It's like when you lose hope, when there's no more hope left, right? What do you become at that point? What's your resolve after that, it'll be better tomorrow, when there's no more of that?
It's spinning round and round. It's lost and can't be found.
Guys, this is so special to me. Like, I mean, the reason I say it's special is because I'm hearing hip hop drums. I'm hearing an aggressive, chorus. I'm hearing all the aggression that's necessary for rock and rap, right? Which is what they're kind of blending, right? This era this would build the framework for what it would eventually be Slipknot and Limp Bizkit and those who weren't afraid to incorporate the hip hop sound in the drums, right? And yet, the emotions that they're wearing on their sleeves, it's such a strange mix. I very rarely hear that.
It's lost and can't be found. It's spinning round and round. Slow it down. Beating me down. Beating me down. Down into the ground. Screaming so sound. Beating me down. Down into the
Yo, like let me know in the comments, right? It's such a strange thing to achieve that because I can hear the harmonies. It's like they're harmonizing this part. This is the bridge. I think, there's another chorus likely coming up. But it's a beautiful bridge, but it's also ugly. You know what I'm saying? And that's a contradiction. How is that a beautiful sound and an ugly sound simultaneously? Because they're hitting the harmonies, but there's a scream underneath it. And there's, it's crazy what they captured here. You hear the scream underneath?
Life's falling away from me. It's falling away from me. Life's falling away from me.
See, I think this part is an identification, right? By appearing in her room, I think that what they're trying to say is we identify with this group, right? We identify with, the misunderstood and the people who were beaten into a state of submission or even worse, beaten into a feeling of invisibility, right? That's who Korn identifies with in this song, right? So she escapes from the tyranny. And this, I'm wondering, let me know in the comments below, is her escape from that tyranny, is that synonymous with the children kind of running and making their way up that hill? Because remember, we saw Freak on a Leash before, where those children at the beginning, they're just kind of running, and there's that little hopscotch thing to the edge of some cliff. Fam, I'm not sure if you've ever seen the movie Get Out, where she's stirring the tea, right? And she's hypnotizing that guy, and then she says, sink into the floor. And he sinks down, right? He's being hypnotized, so he doesn't literally sink. But he goes into what she calls the sunken place, right? And he essentially sees his life through like this small box. Like everything around him in his periphery is black, but he can see this little small box, and someone else is kind of living his life. He's kind of watching life as if it were a movie that he was just an audience member in. It's kind of a scary scene. But that falling away from me, right? It's like I'm losing control of who I am. I'm losing control of my emotions. I'm losing my sense of control in general, right? It's all slipping out of my hands. So I'm falling away from me. And it's I think it might happen as a result of, because with abuse, a lot of people dissociate, right? When the abuser is coming, you try to go somewhere else in your mind, right? You say, can I be anywhere else, right? You remember Jenny from Forrest Gump, make me a bird so I can fly far, far away from here. Well, you can do that in your mind. You can imagine that you're somewhere else. And enough of that, enough doing that, enough being forced to go to that place. And, it's possible that you never really come back to who you were before. You never kind of really return to the hopeless reality of your situation. Guys, let me know. Correspond with me in the comments below.